Cracking down on corporate corruption. The president vows tougher punishment and defends his own stock transactions as executives and accountants blame each other for the WorldCom mess. After the floods, Texans return home to pick up the pieces of their lives. Climb, descend. A doomed Russian jetliner got conflicting instructions and had just seconds to choose. And life after death for Ted Williams? The bizarre family battle over the fate of his remains.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. Dan is off tonight. I'm John Roberts. Back from a holiday break, President Bush and the Congress plunged head-on into a hot election year issue. The corporate corruption that has seen stock prices plummet, investments wiped out, and retirement nest eggs crushed. Previewing a speech that he'll deliver on Wall Street tomorrow, the president vowed to punish the guilty and restore confidence in the financial markets. As for questions about his own corporate stock dealings, the president insisted there's no there there and accused Democrats of playing politics. Wyatt Andrews begins our coverage.
The same president who for most of his term has been partner-in-chief with big business now wants to recast himself as the toughest cop on the street.
We have a duty to every worker, shareholder, and investor in America to punish the guilty, to close loopholes, and protect employee pensions. And we will.
The president's toughest proposals are aimed at companies and CEOs that lie to investors and the public on purpose. In cases where a company has issued intentionally misleading financial information, Mr. Bush wants criminal sanctions, including jail time, for the offending CEOs and directors. He will also propose an upgrade of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, granting that agency more investigators and money. Democrats, though, have signaled this get tough image won't stand.
Remember the thing about foxes guarding the henhouse?
Raising a major election issue, Democrats in this TV ad are blaming the president and vice president for permissive practices when they were in business.
They used Enron-style accounting to hide losses.
The ad refers to an $850,000 stock sale Mr. Bush executed when he was a director of Harkin Energy just 2 months before the company announced a major loss. The SEC investigated but declined action. The vice president's ex-company, Halliburton, faces a current SEC investigation on accounting practices while Mr. Cheney was in charge. The president brushed off the Harkin flap as old news.
You've got the documents. You've got the finding where the guy said there's no case here. And just the way I view it is it's old-style politics.
But for all of the president's new tough talk on this, most of what he is proposing has the backing of big business, largely because big business is terrified at the loss of economic confidence. Cracking down on corporate misbehavior, in other words, right now, is as pro-business as it gets. John?
Wyatt Andrews reporting for us tonight from the White House Live. Wyatt, thanks. Congress is working on its own plan for cracking down on corporate corruption. Today, a House committee opened an investigation of the accounting practices of WorldCom. Bob Schieffer on Capitol Hill has that part of the story.
And raise your right hand.
It's becoming a routine scene. Congress swears in top executives to explain the latest big business scandal. This time, the collapse of WorldCom, but again, the men in charge wouldn't talk. So Congress lit into the outside auditors, again from Arthur Andersen of Enron fame.
It is incomprehensible to me that a major accounting firm could have such a dismal record.
Didn't any red flags appear?
Unlike the Enron scandal with its secret insider deals, the collapse of communications giant WorldCom, a collapse that cost investors $175 billion, is fairly simple. The company overstated its earnings by $3.8 billion by listing many expenses as capital investments. When the accounting tricks became public, company stock that once sold for more than $60 a share plunged to only a few cents. 17,000 employees were laid off. Bernard Ebbers, the man who ran the company until April, was said to be such a penny pincher that he monitored how much toilet tissue the company bought. What Congress wants to know was why he borrowed $400 million from the company. But he denied wrongdoing, took the fifth, and refused to answer questions.
I believe that no one will conclude that I engaged in any criminal or fraudulent conduct.
Scott Sullivan, the company's former top financial officer, made $34 million cashing in company stock in recent years, but Congress couldn't find out if he knew the company's real worth. He took the fifth, too.
I respectfully will not answer questions based upon my Fifth Amendment right.
Frustrated committee members turned up little new, but the Senate began work on new legislation with real teeth, which will put accountants under strict new federal regulation and make it easier to prosecute company officers who turn in false financial reports. And here is the bottom line. A month ago, those reforms were going nowhere, but this WorldCom mess has put such a scare into Congress, all sides now say the reforms will soon be written into law. What happens to those WorldCom execs, still not clear. John.
Bob Schieffer on the WorldCom meltdown on Capitol Hill. Thanks, Bob. As Bob reported, one of the men at the center of the WorldCom scandal, former CEO Bernard Evers, wasn't talking today. CBS News business correspondent Anthony Mason, though, found some people who were talking about Evers.
In the hometown of WorldCom, he's a household name.
We all know Bernie Evers.
And in Clinton, Mississippi, folks want to know what former CEO Bernie Evers knew about the $4 billion fraud at WorldCom.
I'm hoping that he was not involved because we all have trusted him very much.
Let's go ahead.
Canadian-born, Evers went to Mississippi College on a basketball scholarship. He stayed to run a motel chain, then bought a little long-distance company and built it through dozens of acquisitions like MCI into a telecom powerhouse.
Bernie Evers taught us that Mississippians could do things that people thought were not possible.
That's why Clinton's mayor, Rosemary Altman, says,
we're not going to bash Bernie Evers until we know this whole story here.
But Evers wasn't telling his story today. He took the fifth.
Even though I do not believe I have anything to hide.
Evers, who Business Week once called the telecom cowboy, was always known as more of a deal maker than a manager. Could he have missed the fraud inside the company he ran for 17 years? WorldCom's new CEO, John Sidgmore, who worked with Evers, says,
we don't know anything about Bernie. We don't know whether he was involved. We don't know whether he wasn't involved.
But back in Clinton, Mississippi, that answer just isn't good enough.
A lot of people are upset because they just don't have enough information. They don't know what the CEO knew. And in the absence of information, we'll make up our own best story. And that leaves a very ugly feeling for the community.
In May, as WorldCom's stock was sliding, Evers was forced out as president and CEO. The SEC and Justice Department are now investigating his conduct. And Evers could have serious financial troubles. He still owes WorldCom $366 million in loans. John?
Anthony Mason, thanks. Questions were raised today about the accounting practices of yet another corporation, the pharmaceutical giant Merck. Merck denied any wrongdoing, but the questions sent stock prices stumbling. The Dow closed down more than 104 points. The Nasdaq lost nearly 43. River levels have begun dropping north of San Antonio, but the Texas-sized flood in the Lone Star State has left behind a soggy mess. It's also left at least 8 people dead, 2 missing, and thousands of homes destroyed or damaged. Mark Strassman saw some of them close up in New Braunfels.
Doesn't look too good.
Jesse Causey actually expected much worse. All weekend, floodwaters raced through his house. Today, he stepped inside, surprised anything still stood.
It's just hard to believe. I would have bet money it would have been the first one to go.
The receding Texas floodwaters reveal a disaster that could approach $1 billion and leave behind a massive trail of ruin. 48,000 homes damaged or destroyed. Dozens of shattered communities now live on River Street.
It's an incredible amount of work. We'll be here for weeks.
Out on flooded rivers, entire homes floated away. Several drifted past Jesse Causey's house, and 2 of those homes actually crashed into it. His house is battered, but stood its ground.
I guess we have to rebuild if they'll let us, because it sure don't want to go away. You know, it wants to be here.
Causey's neighbor, Linda Coble, knew what she would find. Nothing.
That is the very first thing I saw when I woke up on TV. My house, floating down the river.
Steve and Kelly Dean waded back into uncertainty. This weekend's flood was their second in 4 years. Last time, they lost everything.
It's like, gosh, do we have any good luck?
But this time, their house
Didn't even get up that high.
Was barely damp.
Of course, I thought the house was going to go.
They all did. And most of them feel lucky they have anything to go home to.
As these waters go down, the new worry here is a storm system out in the Gulf of Mexico that could dump more rain on this area and more misery. Most flood victims here say they intend to stay because this is home, and their house is just a small part of that. John?
Mark Strassman in flood-ravaged New Braunfels. Mark, thanks. An Inglewood, California police officer was suspended from duty today after a weekend altercation with a handcuffed teenager. Investigators say sheriff's deputies had stopped a car for a traffic violation, and a 16-year-old passenger in the car wound up in a violent dispute with Inglewood officers. A tourist with a video camera caught what happened next. The handcuffed teen was slammed onto a car. Later, turning toward the officer holding him, he was hit with a fist. The teen was booked for assault on an officer. Next on this Monday edition of the CBS Evening News, a tragedy of errors. New details of how a communications breakdown led to an air collision over Germany. And later, Eye on America. Some believe to live a lot longer, you have to eat a lot less.
When diet and exercise fail, adding Lipitor can help lower your total cholesterol 29 to 45%. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of serious side effects. 1 in 5 people has high cholesterol. Millions need treatment. For less cholesterol, ask your doctor if Lipitor is right for you.
You could win one of 10 Ford Explorers or one of thousands of other great prizes in Best Western Sleep and Win Instant Win Game. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain. Call 1-800-WESTERN today.
Thinking about Nexium, today's purple pill? Good, but don't just think about Nexium. Talk to your doctor about it. Find out if Nexium is right for you. Nexium, it's today's purple pill.
Yep, this is going to be fun. An 8-hour flight with a screaming stiff neck. How about grabbing a Thermacare heat wrap? Open it up and put it on before your in-flight nap. It gets warm and stays warm for 8 hours, deeply relaxing tight muscles. So circulation flows in, helping pain flow out. Hey, by the next time zone, you'll be upright, not a sec. Yes. All day long.
Bye-bye.
Thermacare heat wraps. Find them in the pain reliever aisle.
Why do I love new Ziploc tabletops? They're plates with lids.
We can have good food in the car, on the go.
I don't make a mess anymore.
Sometimes my husband has to work late, so I just put the lid on it.
And then all I do is heat it up. Of course, I apologize for being late. I'm sorry.
Now she can have my food instead of fast food.
I want my babies to have good food even when I'm not there. You know what I'm saying? You should check out my freezer.
We call them Ziploc tabletops.
SC Johnson, a family company.
It works for the way we live.
In Karachi, Pakistan today, 3 Islamic militants were arrested and charged with last month's car bombing outside the city's U.S. consulate. Brought before reporters, they admitted carrying out the attack, which killed a dozen Pakistanis and injured many more. Police detained dozens of people after the bombing. The 3 arrested today are the first to be charged. In the Ural Mountains of central Russia today, thousands gathered to mourn dozens of children who died 1 week ago when 2 jetliners collided in the air over southern Germany. In all, the crash killed 71 people. Tonight, as correspondent Mark Phillips reports, there is new information about the series of miscues that led to that disaster.
Even as some of the victims of last week's crash, most of them school children, were being buried today, there was further evidence of just how the fates and a suspect air traffic control system had conspired against them. Among those being laid to rest was the Russian plane's captain, a man who, it seems, faced an impossible choice in the last moments of his life. It was revealed today that the captain of the Tupolev 154
received contradictory instructions in the seconds before the crash. His onboard TCAS anti-collision system told him to climb. But a second later, the air traffic controller on the ground told him to descend. The Russian followed the controller's instructions and began to lose altitude, just as the pilot of the DHL cargo plane was doing the same thing on instructions from his TCAS system. It was a fatal clash of aviation cultures.
Normally, Western pilots will follow the instructions in the TCAS, but in the Russian system, you have the situation where pilots have been advised that the controllers will have a better overview of the whole picture, so they should respond to the controller's command.
The crash could even have been avoided moments earlier when German controllers noticed the planes on a collision course and tried to call and warn the Swiss center that was controlling the flights, but the line was busy. Russian President Vladimir Putin made an unannounced stop to pay his respects to the victims today. Little consolation to the families who now know just how avoidable and how unnecessary this tragedy was. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
Ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, Eye on America, why this man expects his salad days to last for 120 years.
The CBS Evening News and tonight's Eye on America segment are sponsored by fast-acting Mylanta Supreme. Tastes great as it works. Tough heartburn? Try Extra Strength Mylanta. Nothing's faster or more soothing than Extra Strength Mylanta, the liquidator.
Diabetes. It's no joke at all.
I'm leaving the pain behind me.
The One Touch Ultra requires less blood, so you can test on your arm where it's less painful. The One Touch Ultra.
I've been waiting for this for 10 years.
What some people will do for the freshness of laundry dried in the cleanest breeze. Introducing a new scent from Tide, Tide Clean Breeze. Perhaps the cleanest scent you can get without the commute. New Tide Clean Breeze, also available in Downy.
There is a rhythm to life. We sleep at night and wake in the morning. It's this sleep cycle that helps keep us in a healthy balance. But for millions of Americans, sleep doesn't always come easy. Fortunately, there's Ambien. Ambien is a prescription sleep aid that can help you get a full night's sleep. While natural sleep is best, Ambien helps you fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and wake rested and refreshed, not groggy the next morning. No wonder Ambien is the #1 prescribed sleep aid in America. Until you know how Ambien will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Side effects may include drowsiness, dizziness, and diarrhea. You shouldn't take it with alcohol. Patients who abuse prescription sleep aids may become dependent. Prescription sleep aids are most often taken for 7 to 10 days as needed. Your doctor will advise you about taking them longer. Take Ambien only when you can devote a full 7 to 8 hours to sleep and wake rested and ready to start your day. Talk to your doctor about Ambien. Ambien works like a dream.
Everyone knows Publishers Clearinghouse gives away millions every winter.
You've just won $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse. This is unbelievable. I can't believe it.
But you don't have to wait till next winter to get rich. Next month, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol will surprise a new $1 million winner live on TV. Watch your mail or go to PCH.com. Enter, and on August 29th, the summer's biggest winner could be you.
At the World AIDS Conference in Barcelona, Spain today, officials said Asia will pass Africa as the most widely infected region, and 70 million people will die worldwide in the next 20 years. American officials said 3 out of 4 young, gay, HIV-positive men in the United States don't know they're infected. Researchers also said today a new drug called T20 may help advanced AIDS patients live longer. But experts are cautious about a California company's claim that it may have an AIDS vaccine out by the year 2005. Among the first Europeans to explore America was Juan Ponce de Leon, who sought the fabled fountain of youth. Now, 500 years later, federal scientists have launched their own search for the key to living longer. A 3-year, $20 million study of how a particular diet may stretch the human lifespan. Medical correspondent Elizabeth Caledon reports in tonight's Eye on America.
At the National Institutes of Health, scientists, with the help of monkeys, may be unlocking the mysteries of long life. The answer, it seems, is not the magic of technology or powerful new drugs, but something much simpler. Food. A lot less food.
There's no question that diet contributes to aging and disease.
For 15 years, researchers have compared rhesus monkeys fed normal diets to those fed 30% less. The monkeys eating fewer calories have lived much longer and avoided disease.
We have determined that several markers of potential age-related disease have been reduced in the monkeys on calorie restriction.
How eating less affects the aging process is still unclear. One theory is, simply put, that when the body has fewer calories, it has to decide more wisely how to use them, and they tend to be invested in self-preservation.
If we can begin to understand what it is that relates to the fact that you can get this extension of life and then put it in a bottle, have it as a medicine, that might be fantastic. The basement kitchen.
Dean Pomerleau isn't waiting for any medicine. Convinced by the animal studies, he and a small group of people are already practicing calorie restriction in the hopes of living longer.
Ideally, I'd like to shoot for 120.
120 years.
Yeah. Eat my salad.
3 times a day, Pomerleau consumes huge portions of salad. It's heavy.
It's about 6 pounds worth of vegetables that I eat in a day.
He also eats sprouts homegrown in his basement, fruit,
Orange Ruffy tonight.
and small quantities of lean protein like fish.
The bulk of the diet that I eat keeps me from getting hungry.
In 2.5 years, Dean's lost 45 pounds. The extreme thinness has meant brittler bones and a decreased libido, but his health, he says, is better than ever.
I haven't had a cold that's lasted more than half a day in the 2.5 years since I started. I think my mood and sense of well-being have improved substantially since beginning the diet.
Pomerleau admits it's extreme, but
I see it as worth it to experience more of life to give up a slice of pizza.
that is unlikely to be a view shared by most Americans, now notorious for loving their food. So even if calorie restriction does work in extending human years, scientists may find their biggest challenge is convincing people to trade in quality of life for quantity of life. In Wexford, Pennsylvania, I'm Elizabeth Caledon for Eye on America.
You're watching the CBS Evening News, and coming up next, Ted Williams. Just days after his death, the legend lives on, and so maybe does his DNA.
I quit. Feeling lethargic.
I quit. Feeling bloated again and again.
It's time to quit. Quit the cycle of irregularity with Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy. With Metamucil, you don't just get regular, you stay regular. Day after day, week after week.
I didn't just quit. I quit for good.
And you can, too.
Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy. Get regular, stay regular.
You know when you're not feeling like yourself. You're tired all the time. You may feel sad, hopeless, and lose interest in things you once loved. You may feel anxious, can't even sleep. Your daily activities and relationships suffer. You know when you just don't feel right. Now here's something you may not know. These are some symptoms of depression, a serious medical condition affecting over 20 million Americans. While the cause is unknown, depression may be related to an imbalance of naturally occurring chemicals between nerve cells in the brain. Zoloft, a prescription medicine, works to correct this imbalance. When you know more about what's wrong, you can help make it right. Only your doctor can diagnose depression. Zoloft is not for everyone. People taking medicines called MAOI shouldn't take Zoloft. Side effects may include dry mouth, insomnia, sexual side effects, diarrhea, nausea, and sleepiness. Zoloft is not habit-forming. Talk to your doctor about Zoloft, the #1 prescribed brand of its kind. Zoloft. When you know more about what's wrong, you can help make it right.
Your serve, Angie.
Thanks, Jim.
Are mosquitoes sending your outdoor activities indoors? Take back your backyard with new off-hanging mosquito lantern. The candle activates the repellent pad, which protects an area up to 15 feet by 15 feet. New off-hanging mosquito lantern keeps bugs off. Bring the same glowing protection to your deck or patio with Off Mosquito Lamp.
After 26 years of marriage, Tom and I realized that we're a little different from each other. We do everything together, but each in our own way. Except for one thing. For aspirin therapy, our doctor says we should both take the same dose. A single 81 milligram St. Joseph aspirin, the dosage most doctors recommend for aspirin therapy. After all, taking more aspirin than you may need just isn't a good idea. For anybody, St. Joseph aspirin. Trust it with all your heart.
Many feared the music was over. Now there's a new attempt to revive the Mount Hood Jazz Festival. The story on KOIN 6 News at 6.
Here are some of the stories coming up on the CBS Evening News later this week. As the FBI shifts to fighting terrorism, bank robberies are on the rise. What a new study says about the safety of hormone replacement therapy, an important story. And a growing medical emergency. More elderly Americans, few doctors trained to deal with their special needs. Finally tonight, the Ted Williams story has taken a very strange twist. Just days after the Baseball Hall of Famer died, CBS's Bobby Harley reports his family is fighting over his remains.
Somewhere in this Scottsdale, Arizona cryonics laboratory may be baseball's greatest hitter, Ted Williams, suspended in liquid nitrogen at 320 degrees below zero.
My dad's in a metal tube on his head, so frozen that if I touched him, it would crack him because of the warmth from my fingertips.
Faster than Williams could round the bases in life, it seems his son, John Henry, who recently started his own minor league baseball career, put him on ice after his death Friday in Florida, carrying out a plan his older half-sister says is not what the baseball great wanted.
Daddy wants to be cremated, first of all.
Instead, Bobby Jo Farrell accuses her half-brother of storing Williams's body, maybe even only his head, at the country's largest cryonics center.
He said that it would be really interesting to sell Dad's DNA.
The theory being that the extreme cold can preserve tissue, and one day, when scientists figure out how to do it, bring him back to life. Or for now, keep the legend producing revenue.
John Henry Williams has been a problem in this regard for a long time. Even in death, John Henry is apparently finding a way to exploit Daddy to make a buck.
And priceless is what some collectors say a vial of Williams's DNA would be.
And there's always someone that will want to buy something, and especially the different things is what you get into, the specialty items that most people won't have.
John Henry Williams isn't commenting. Bobby Jo Farrell is considering legal action, leaving the Williams case on ice indefinitely. Bobby Harley, CBS News, Miami.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Monday. Dan Rather will be along later on tonight with a 48 Hours mystery. Bill Lagatuda has a preview.
A teenage boy charged with murdering his sister.
What do you miss the most about her?
Her smile. He says he had nothing to do with it.
Are you telling me that you are absolutely and completely innocent of this crime?
Yes. So why did he confess? Later on 48 Hours.
For Dan Rather, I'm John Roberts, CBS News in New York. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News. Bank robberies are way up, so what's happened? Eye on America tomorrow. Experience CBS News.
And we were just sitting here, and all of a sudden it just heard a huge boom.
Ahead on KOIN 6 News at 6, an explosion stuns a local company, killing 2 employees. Tonight, the latest on the accident and the 911 tapes that spurred emergency crews into action.
Time is running short for Portland school custodians struggling to keep their jobs. The school board plans to make a decision tonight.
Plus, not everyone is jazzed about the future of the longtime local music festival. KOIN 6 News at 6 starts now.
Now, with Jeff Gianola and Mike Donahue, this is KOIN 6 News at 6.
Welcome to KOIN 6 News. I'm Mike Donahue.
And I'm Karen Adams. Thank you for joining us this evening. 2 workers are dead tonight after an explosion.